The story of Ruth begins in a season of hunger. Famine gripped the land of Israel. Elimelech, a man of Bethlehem, took his wife Naomi and their 2 sons to the country of Moab. They sought bread, but they found sorrow. Elimelech died. Naomi was left with her 2 sons, Mahlon and Kilion. The sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. For 10 years they lived in that land. Then both sons died. 3 widows were left alone in a world that offered no protection to the fatherless or the husbandless. Naomi heard that the Lord had visited his people in Israel by giving them food. She prepared to return to Bethlehem. She told her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab. "Go, return each of you to her mother's house," she said. She prayed the Lord would deal kindly with them, as they had dealt with the dead and with her. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and stayed behind, but Ruth clung to her. Ruth made a choice that would echo through history. She said, "Where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried." Ruth was a foreigner. She was an outsider from a despised nation, yet she chose the God of Israel. The 2 women arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. They were poor, they were hungry. Ruth went to glean in the fields, picking up the leftover grain behind the harvesters. She happened to come to the field belonging to Boaz. Boaz was a relative of Naomi's late husband. He was a man of wealth and standing. When Boaz saw Ruth, he asked who she was. His servants told him of her loyalty to Naomi. Boaz showed her kindness. He told her to stay in his fields and protected her from harm. He had heard of her sacrifice. "The Lord repay you for what you have done," Boaz said. "A full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Ruth ate at his table until she was satisfied. She returned to Naomi with an abundance of grain. Naomi realized that Boaz was a kinsman redeemer. Under the law, a redeemer had the right to buy back family land and care for the widow. Naomi instructed Ruth to go to the threshing floor at night. When Boaz lay down to sleep, Ruth went and uncovered his feet. It was a humble request for protection and marriage. Boaz was moved by her kindness. He promised to do all she asked. But there was a problem. There was another relative closer than he. Boaz went to the city gate and confronted the man. The other relative refused to redeem the land because it would jeopardize his own inheritance. So Boaz took Ruth to be his wife. The elders of the city witnessed the union. They prayed she would be like Rachel and Leah, who built up the house of Israel. The Lord gave Ruth a son. They named him Obed. Naomi, who once called herself Mara because of her bitterness, now held a grandson. The women of Bethlehem rejoiced. They said the child would be a restorer of life. Obed became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of David, the king. Ruth, the Moabite widow, was no longer an outsider. She was an ancestor of the king. Her story shows that God's grace is not limited by borders or birthright. He sees the humble. He rewards the faithful. He turns emptiness into abundance. The lineage of Ruth continued through the centuries. It led from the fields of Bethlehem to a stable in that same town. Through her faithfulness, the stage was set for the Savior. God works through the small and the overlooked to accomplish his eternal purpose. The Redeemer had come for Ruth, just as the great Redeemer would come for the world.